Hello dear group members, we have a painting, a portrait for correction. It was made by Marzia Claudia Zanetti, and before I start to develop her work, I want to mention that we have a lot of new group members which were coming last week. And I want to mention to them that we have a nice website, peterplattacademy.com, and if you access it, you can search for free resources, and you can find a lot of links to videos which could be very useful to you. All the links will be redirecting you to the group Let's Learn to Draw with Peter Platt. Because in the group we have albums which are really popular. We have an album titled Corrections Made by Peter Platt, and we have a lot of images here, but we have a lot of videos also, so you can watch them and you can learn from them. Also, we have an album titled Lessons and Demonstrations. It contains 15 videos and 2 photos, and some of the videos will be redone because they are poor quality, but most of them are pretty usable. So if you want to search one of the videos, and unfortunately Facebook doesn't put any title for the video, just in case if you are opening a video, you can see the title, Correction to Drawing Made by a Fellow Group Member. But if you want to search for a specific video, you can go to the peterplattacademy.com, and you can access the free resources page, and you will find the titles of the videos and most of the videos which are in need for you. So it's really easy to find it. Also, we have a community. We have the rules from the Facebook group here on the community on our website. We have also a little bit about me, about my story. But what is important, it's the free resources what you can find here, named and titled, every one of them, and you can search them really quickly and really easy without needing to search the group albums. Also, I want to mention that not all the videos are listed here, not all the corrections. We have a few corrections here, but not all of them are listed, just a few of them which are the most important. The rest of the videos are here in the group album section, and it is called Corrections Made by Peter Platt, and we have 48 videos till now, so it's a pretty big number of videos. So you can find portraits all over the videos, and a lot of basic things about perspective, about landscapes, portrait, basic of drawing, shadowing, some of the colors, anatomy. So you can find a lot of things here. Yes, that was the one thing I wanted to mention. Because the website has a good amount of helping to us if you want to search for a specific video, and it makes us possible to search them more easily. So let's see, we have a painting of a portrait, and as you can see we have two references, which the first one is this, right? The second one is this, and this is original painting, and yes, there are a few things to mention about this. The second reference, which she has here, is pretty poor quality, and it's pretty small for a detail. It's pretty hard to make a good study after that. The other one is pretty good quality, so it's really good quality, not just pretty good, but it's good quality, but the shapes and the lights are a little bit different, and what we see on both of the references is that both of them have the head of the woman tilted in front a little bit. So if we are starting to do the drawing of the woman, of the head, we need to have the middle line, and this is the middle line, and when someone is looking straight to us and doesn't tilt his head, his eyes or her eyes would be right in the middle of the head. So if we have the head like this, in the middle we would have the eyes, right? We would have the eyes like here, right? If someone is looking to us, toward us, but he has his head tilted in front, then this proportion will be a little bit different. His eyes will be a little bit lower, and it will have a nice curved line, right, like this, right? And all the measurements which are beneath her eye, the nose will be a little bit longer because we are looking at them a little bit from upside, but all the measurements from his below his nose or her nose will be smaller because of the perspective, right? If we have her nose like here, it's half of the measurement from the chin to the eye. It has her nose, right? And half of the distance between the nose and chin, she has her mouth, right? And these measurements, if the head is tilted in front, will be smaller, right? And you can see that here's the nose, right? This is the chin, and you can see that we have the upper lip, we have the middle, we have the lower lip there, and we have a little bit from her chin, and the middle of the mouth will be right here, you see. And if the head is tilted, this distance and the distance between those parts will be smaller than if someone is looking towards us, right? Also, these lines, which are her eyebrows, will be a little bit more in an angle than from looking from front, right? And this is the first thing I want to mention for this portrait, that mainly both of the references have their head tilted in front, right? And that's a key element of your portrait. Okay, let's crop this image a little bit. Let's make the background a little bit lighter, right? And let's take what I did here, just one, right? And we have two layers, so let's take them here so it will be more visible, and I will close this so we have all the things in one place. Right, and the original paint so that it's visible. Right, I will do this a little bit darker so you can see the writing. So alright, so let's start doing something. I will make this a little bit longer. I will make a duplicate of this. I will move the writing and I will make it a little bit bigger. Right, and this one also, so that it's visible. And I will tone down this image and let's see, let's make an overdrawing for this drawing. First thing I want to mention that there are a few problems with the drawing. The first one, I would suggest a little bit more refinement for the drawing. So if you are looking for this reference, which is a really good reference, it's a really good quality photo, we will see the this part of the face. It has a shape of a mandible, as you can see, right? It's pretty nice. Okay. Also, we need to think about the eyes, because we are going to look to the eyes from upside view, so we need to look at that also. But let's start with the first thing which we need. We need a medial axis of the face. like this, right? And this medial axis will allow us to center all the features of the portrait, right? Since she's turned in a little bit to front of us, she's head is tilted a little bit in front of us, towards us. We need to check that her eyes aren't in the middle, which is kind of the case if we are taking the axis of the eye. Let's make a ruler. Here we have the ruler, and let's measure it. And yes, it's alright, it's lower than half, so it's good. Alright, clear the measurement, and we need to be careful also with the measurement of the eye, how big the eyes are from front. We need to separate the portrait, like between the two eyes there are an eye measurement. Let's say we have this measurement of the eye, we have this measurement for another eye, alright, and we can measure that also, alright, it's almost okay. Clear. I will erase, I will put a little bit farther away, alright, that's an eye and that's the other. Let's make another measurement, alright, let's put this here, it's a little bit longer. And we need to be careful that till the margin of the portrait we need to have a half measurement eye. So if we take the measurement tool and we take the measurement of the eye, we need to have one half eye. So it would be like here, and it would be like here. That would be our face wideness, alright? And that's our eye, okay? So, we can make her nose a little bit longer because we are looking from upside view, because she's tilted in front towards us, so her nose will be a little bit longer. And we need to be careful with the other stuff, because since we are looking from upside view to her, because she's tilted in front of us, the upper lip will be a little bit smaller in dimension, like this, alright, and the lower lip will be a little bit bigger, right? And we need to look about her measurement of her eye, of her mouth, sorry, would need to be in approximately in the middle of her eyes. So let's make it a little bit longer, till here and till here, right? That's her. Let's erase. That's kind of her nose, alright, lips, upper lip. And the other lip, since we are looking a little bit from upside view to her, that lip needs to be a little bit bigger in upside view, and we need to have a small chin, because the chin is the farthest shape to us, from us, alright, because she's tilted in front. We are looking after her mandible, and the mandible would need to be a little bit upper than her middle of her lips, right, because she's tilted in front. So we will have her mandible like here, right, and to have a nice construction, you can start with an oval shape, as I started myself. You can make your measurements, right, but when you start to construct the portrait, you can use straight lines for construction. So you will do the following. You will try to see the wideness of her chin, right, and we are careful measuring that the middle of the chin will be in the middle, alright, and we will start to use straight lines, and this will be her mandible, alright, and we are putting the mandible in this line, alright, and the other part we will be making the same thing, and we are trying to make it with a straight line, alright. Let's see, it's till here like this, right, and what you don't need, you just erase, alright. This is our mandible, and from the mandible we see that we have a nice line upside which goes till the cheekbone, alright, and from the cheekbone it goes inside, alright, and we can start to have a nice face, right. I know it's a little bit long, but this is how you start to draw the face. You just draw some nice lines, straight lines, which are making straight lines makes us really much more easier to construct our portrait, alright. Okay. Also we will draw the axis of the eyebrow like this, alright, and we can start to make the shape of the head. So since I know that we don't know on the original reference here the ears, but we would need to draw them. So since we have our model looking in front and having her head tilted in front, we need to use a curved axis. So we will have her like this. The ear starts at the beginning of the corner of the eye and goes till the line of the nose, but since we have a tilted head, we have those lines a little bit curved. The axis of the face, it's like a little bit curved, like this. And here we have the other. Yes, I don't do any details for her here, but I just put a shape there, so I know that there are there, and I put the head shape, right? And having in mind that this is the middle, I will draw the other part, which will come like this. Alright, after that we have her forehead till here. Right, this is the beginning of the forehead, and this is the beginning of her hair. Right, and this is her hair. We need to be careful with the hair that the hair follows the form and the shape of the head. Right, it's not just a simple shape which is thrown on the head. It follows the shape, the form of the head. Right, and that's the preliminary sketch for your drawing. Okay, and now I will make invisible your drawing, and you see that we have a nice construction for the portrait. Alright, next thing will be the eyes. So let's see that eye. A lot of people have problems with eyes, and I will try to make a small demonstration here. I will make a new layer. I name it eyes, and let's start with just the middle of the eye. This is the eyeball, right? And it has an axis, so as usually a three-dimensional form has axis, right? Okay, and we have our pupil in front. Sorry for my like this. Alright, if we are rotating this, let's take this this axis, and we start to rotate this eye. We will have the eyeball like this. Oh, sorry. Alright, but the medial axis will be something like this. Alright, okay, and the iris will be like here. Alright, I will do just a quick shading of the iris so that you can understand. That's the iris. Alright, the same thing happens when we are rotating our eye. We are tilting our head in front, and let's do the same thing which is in the first drawing. Alright, we do the same thing. We do the eyeball. Alright, I'll just retouch the shape, right? And we have the medial axis of the eye, but we are tilting the eye in front, which means, yeah, that we are tilting in this direction with this axis, alright? And which means that we will have the axis, the middle axis, like this, alright? And we will have the iris like here, alright? So now we have an eye which is tilting in front, so this will be our eye, alright? How to start the eye? We are thinking about the eye that he has two corners, one of the corners in one part and the other part has the other corner, right? And usually we are just as beginners we are just drawing this kind of eyes, right? And some of the people does like this, and this is an eye, alright? We need to remember about eye the same thing like constructing the portrait with straight lines, right? And we start like this. We are drawing the inner corner of the eye, right? We start with a nice straight line, right? We are doing the same on this part, alright? We do the same thing on the lower part of the eye, but we are thinking about the eye that this part is a little bit straight, right? And this part is a little bit inside, and it goes under this shape, right? And then we have an eye, alright? After that we can start drawing the thickness of the eyelid, and we do the same thing. We are using straight lines, right? After we have the shape of the eye, we are starting to round those corners, alright? And we are going to round those corners, alright? And the lower eyelid goes beneath the upper eyelid, right, like this. And if we are looking to our eye from front, then we will see a little bit from the thickness of the upper eyelid. Sorry about that. Like this. Right. Here I will just erase a little bit, so it will be a little bit more visible. Alright, and we will see a little bit from the bottom eyelid thickness also. Okay, and we have here the interior of the eye, and here we have the tear. Here we have the part from which starts the tear, alright, and we have a little bit bigger iris, alright, and the middle of the iris, alright. So these shapes could be different drawn from person to person, but most of the time this is the way you start to sketch an eye. Alright. The same thing we are doing on the upper line. We are erasing those parts, those corners, and we are starting to give a little bit more movement and little bit more dynamic. Alright, and this will be the iris. Alright. Okay, let's do the same thing on the second eye, which is the third quarter view, and it's a little bit harder because in this image this corner of the eye we will have in the back of the eyeball, so it will not be visible. And if we are thinking about this axis as a round axis, then it seems to us that the corner of the eye will be right there in the back of the eyeball. Alright, and the other part of the eye, the other corner, will be moved a little bit on this side also. Alright, and we will start the same thing. We are just starting with the corner of the eye. We are starting to draw the shape as a straight line, right? It will be coming like this, and from here it will go in the back of the eyeball, right? Like this one, right? The same thing happens with the lower eyelid. It will be coming like this, and it will go in the back of the eye. Alright, since I have drawn this straight, it's not good, because we need to know that one moment, let's delete this. Alright, we need to know that our eye, the upper eyelid, is a little bit outside. Alright, and from looking from profile, and the lower eyelid is a little bit inside. So if you are drawing our eye, it will have this nice angle. So we need to have that angle on our drawing too. So let's do the same thing. So we will have this angle, alright, which means that I don't like this circular shape. It's not a perfect circle. Alright, that's better. Okay, so we will have this nice angle. That angle can be harder, can be smoother, but there is an angle, since everybody has their lower eyelid a little bit inside. Alright, and let's see, let's start our eye from here. Alright, do the same thing. Alright, in the back, and we are doing the same thing, but now we are doing like this. Alright, and we will make a little bit change for that eyeball, because that eyeball isn't the best. Alright, and we are drawing also the thickness of the upper eyelid. Alright, and yes, this isn't in the right place, so let's make it a little bit rounder. As you can see, I can make a lot of mistakes myself. So we have the angle. Alright, and we will have our eyeball here like this, and since we are looking from front, but it's moved on the axis, we know that we have the thickness of the upper eyelid, and we have the thickness of the lower eyelid visible. Alright, okay, since we have all the shapes done, I will try to erase a little bit so it's more visible, and we are starting to round the corners. Alright, and we are starting to look after the thickness of the eyelid. Right, and we are doing the same on the lower eyelid. Okay, and we are putting our so I have been I had made this eye, but I don't like it, so I will start to redo that drawing. I start to be a little bit tired, so alright, so let's see. We have the eye like this. It seems to me that this isn't a perfect circle either, and this is a little bit straighter. Alright, alright, so we will have the the other corner in the back of the eyelid, eyeball, and the other part will be in front, right? And we will have a nice angle, which means that we will have our eye here and the other part here, right? I sketch it out just a little bit, and you can do the same thing, but you can do with straight lines. This part will be going in the back, right? And this part will be going in the back too, alright? And this is the eye ball, okay? And it seems to me that this will be the axis, which is here, alright? As this part it's alright. I think I will come back after a little pause, and this is the thickness of the upper eyelid. Right, and this is the thickness of the lower eyelid. Which is going to the same direction, to the corner, right? And here we will have our iris. Like that. And we have a nice angle to the eyelids. And from here we have the thickness of the eyelid, which is here, alright? After making some adjustments to the drawing and cleaning, we have our eye from 3/4. It's not the best, I don't like it 100%, but I think this will be the one. Alright. Alright, and since here we have also that shape, okay. Now so let's see. We will have one of the corners here, the other corner will be here. If we are making our eye straight, right? And we are gonna go like this, right? Alright. And we will adjust the iris, right? Okay. And we will have the thickness of the lower eyelid. Okay. We can move it a little bit more. We can tilt a little bit more if we want. And then we will have something like this, and we will have something like this, right? Let's move it a little bit up. We will see the thickness of the lower eyelid. And here's the right. Okay. Right. So when we have an eye and we have a nice round shape, and let's say we have this eye here and we have a light source from this part, right? Then our eye will have shadows in the corner, right? Both of them will have shadow, okay? And we will have shadow beneath the eyelid, the upper eyelid. Alright. And also the upper eyelid will be in a shadow, so it's darker. Alright. Since the eyeball is rounder, then we will have some shadow on this part also, and on this part also. Right, we have shadow inside of the corner, and we have shadow beneath the eye. Right? We will have light on this part here. We will have light on this part, which means that I need to erase there. Right. Okay. The same thing happens here. Shadow in the corner, under the eyelid. We have a nice round shape, so we have shadow, and we have shadow beneath the eye. Okay. The same thing happens here. Shadow beneath the eye. Right. I'm just doing some lines, so I show you where are the main shadows. Shadows in the corner. Alright. Shadow beneath the eyelid. Right, and shadow in this area and in this area. Right. Okay. So here I have made the eye horizontally, but you can put the same eye. You can position the eye a little bit in an angle, and it's the same thing you are doing. You are constructing with straight lines your eye. Right, and you are putting your eye in the middle, your iris, right? Since you have the big shape, you can start to define a little bit more. The the lower eyelid goes beneath the other eyelid. The corner, the thickness of the eyelid, right? And the iris. Okay, the shadow beneath the eye. Okay, some shadows in the corners because this shape goes inside. So if I start to draw with a three-dimensional arrow, it goes inside, and from here it goes inside as well, right? So we will have here also a little bit shadow, right? We will have shadow beneath the upper eyelid, like that, and we have shadow a little bit on this part, right? Because the light hits like here and here, so we have a little bit shadow, and we have shadow beneath the corner of the eye. Right? Here's the thickness of the eyelid, lower eyelid. And this is the iris. Right? This is the pupil, and we have a little bit light in here, right? Which means that we have our light from here. It's like from this angle, right? We will have light on this part, which means that we have a shadow beneath the upper eyelid. Right? Without too much detail, so here we have light. This is light also. This is our light source. From here, here we have light, here, here, here. And on the thickness of the eyelid, it's light also. Okay. So this is it with the eye, and I will draw the eye. I will put the video in fast motion and I will drop the eye then. So let's see how we are doing with the eyes, and as I told before, the eyes are a little bit in an angle because her head is tilted in front, so we will start with the eye a little bit, and since she's head is tilted in front, we will see much more from his lower eyelid, so it will be more curved. Right. Let's see. Okay. And she's looking towards us, which means that she will have her iris a little bit up, right? And so we are doing the other eye, which means that it will be like right here. I'm just cleaning the surface there, and this will be our eye. We start with the interior of the eye, right? And we are doing the same thing, right? Rounding the forms and starting to put her iris in the middle. Alright, you need to be careful to put both of the eyes in the middle. If you don't put in the same place, she will look a little bit weird. So let's see, something's not right. It seems that it needs to be a little bit smaller, this part, right? And this will need to be a little bit. Alright, let's see. It starts like from here and like this. Right. First thing you need to focus, it's the shape of the eye, and not the details as eyelashes and those things. The first thing you need to focus, it's the shape of the eye. Alright? If the shape of the eye isn't good, then you can put any eyelash, because it will not be good as well. So the shape of the eye is the first thing you need to have. Alright, and let's see. Nice eyebrow, which comes from inside, goes outside, has a nice shape. The same thing happens on the other side. We need to be careful to have the same axis for both of the eyebrows, so it doesn't go bad. Right. Let's see. Let's put just a touch of value for the upper lip, and let's start drawing the nose, and we will have the nose part going till the corner of the eye. So this will be the right. Okay. This goes inside. It goes inside. Right, that's our nose. Okay. So we have the big shape. So I will take out the old drawing, and let's put a nice neck for her. That's the middle of the neck. Alright. From here we have the clavicles, and we have a nice trapezius, which is coming like this. Alright. Let's give a value for the eyeballs. Let's make a little bit bigger this one. Alright. And we can start after we have all the shapes like that. Alright. We can get a nice eraser, erase just a little bit over the drawing, and we can start to define the shape of the portrait. So I start to define the shape of the face. Since we have used just straight lines, now I start to round them and start to give a nice shape to the portrait. Alright. Let's see how he looks, she looks. I really love this hair, so I will try to take that hair and it looks like coming like this. It's coming like this. So first thing, I try to find the big shapes of the hair. So I'm not going to start with the individual strands. So this is the hair. I will start to erase the shapes I don't need, and let's make her small hair. Let's erase the head shape because we don't need it anymore. Right, we can start to erase a little bit the medial axis, just a touch. Alright, we can erase those vertical lines which were helping us to find our bearings and our nose parts and every part of the portrait. And let's see, we can put this part of the hair, right, and I really like this ear, so we can have the ear there. Alright, okay. And from here it's just a matter of time and patience to work further and to develop the drawing. To make it a little bit realistic. The thing is that if you have a good base for your portrait, after the base you can do anything you want. You can stylize it, you can make it more natural, you can work further really nice with a good amount of textures. You can put anything in it. You can work naturally, you can work any way you want, but if you don't have the base put it on and it's not correctly done, you can do anything with it. You can draw eyelashes, you can draw anything, but the drawing will not be as good as it needed, because the base of the form, the base of the shape, it's not the same. It's not good. If it's not good, the base of the drawing, then your drawing your drawing will not be as good as it needs. All right. So I'm not going to make all the colors and all the shadows, because this video started to get a little bit long, but in main part this is what I would suggest. You would need to learn a little bit more about basic proportions and about basic shapes of the portrait, on how it should look. You would need to do a few studies about the head skull also, it would be great, because you lack the basic things on a head, like the jaw. It's missing all around. Also the eyes, the measurement of the eyes are wrong. Also the middle line, if you are dragging the middle line, you will see that the nose upper side is not on the medial axis, and also the lips and the mouth stays in a different angle than it sits the eyes. So also the chin is moved a little bit to right. So these are these are really important in drawing a portrait. And this reference, it's a really good reference for study, but the other reference is pretty small. It's pretty small, without too much details, and since you are a beginner, you can't draw it, because you can't observe it really good. So if you would want to make a study, it would be better that if you used this nice portrait, the first reference, then you should use the second one, because the first one, it's a pretty good quality, it has all the details you need, and it has a pretty good light also, so it would be greater advantage to use this model for your learning process than this illustration, right? So I hope that this was helpful for you, and see you next time, alright? Goodbye.